Okay, so I feel a bit silly. In my last video, I showed you all this ring I found that is just out of Sonic's reach. And it wasn't long before everyone pointed out that boosting will help you obtain it. Can it really be that simple? It's true boosting magnetizes rings to you, but I couldn't have never boosted past this ring, right? Well, surely I have, but who's really turning back at light speed after hitting this twist? They make it difficult to turn back anyway, as shown here. So I looked back at my footage, and there's small glimpses of boosting near the ring, but no results, so I went back. Boom. Debunked. I'm kidding. A weaker boost won't pull rings towards you, but a stronger one will. So it's settled. Boosting will get you that one last ring. And I'll probably get boost to obtain comments till the end of time. I'll at least add an asterisk to the thumbnail. There. Had I realized this while writing the script, I would have phrased things differently and not sold the premise of a completely unobtainable ring. But really, the more interesting thing to me is that one singular ring somehow got outside of Sonic's normal range of collection, when probably every other visible ring in the game is obtainable without a boost. With that out of the way, I want to do two things in this video: revisit some of the places I went to before, and try new bonus oddities that were suggested to me. I'll put the relevant comments in the top left corner. But before leaving Green Hill, I want to put our newfound boost to the test. At one point, I dropped down at this twist and boosted backwards. That sent me towards these cliffs below, and shook the camera while Sonic floated in the air a moment. Weird. Any other time I tried, there was something of an invisible wall blocking. But things were still strange. This slowed Sonic's descent, then turned the camera to point up to the rest of the level. And then another time, Sonic's boost gave him the upward momentum to defy gravity. And back down he goes. In Chemical Plant, I want to clear one thing up. I said this platform is useless, and I'm literally talking about the platform I'm standing on. Never did I say this path is useless, these towers are useless, or these springs are useless. The thing is, to even get to this platform, you have to bypass this spring by jumping over it. But why would you do that? It's riskier to do, with no benefit at all. This spring sends you right over that platform anyway, to the next tower. For comparison, let's look at the rightmost path, which features no circular platforms in between. This platform retains its status as useless. Moving on. In Sky Sanctuary, I said there's no turning back at the start. And that's true once you reach solid ground. Though it turns out you do actually have some autonomy while on this rail. You've got a very small window of time between the word go and this booster to do a jump. If you hit that booster, you'll have too much speed to slow down. So our goal is to jump over that booster, turn around, kill our forward momentum, and make it back up the rail without touching that booster on the way back. This is very tricky to pull off, and I tried so many freaking times. But eventually, I managed to pull it off. Heck yeah! Up the rail we go, and into the tower. Now there's no collision here, so we just fall down, but what an accomplishment it is. Further on, I was told about a pulley glitch. This isn't it, but it's funny to see Sonic getting a pull-up workout. So jumping off the pulley, then homing into it, can sometimes send you backwards. I only managed this twice, but it's interesting to see. More pull-ups. In Classic's Act, it should be possible to break out of 2D. This one was very frustrating to get, not because of the glitch, that was easy, but getting the right route while avoiding being locked in a section with no way to die and an undodgeable save point was infuriating. So many restarts. Anyway, this has nothing to do with the bug, but I got stuck in the wall on the way there. And at the site, before even pulling off the trick, you can land next to the spring without hitting it. Alright, but let's get out of 2D. A Thunder Shield at this spring will simply break the 2D lock. This is so cool. His movement is great here. It's interesting to see that pressing down or up no longer has him curl into a ball or look to the sky. It's now used for movement. It can be easy to get locked back into a 2D zone, but hitting a save point while in 3D will respawn you with the 3D control. This movement feels great when the camera is situated slightly above. It really makes me wish Classic had some 3D sections. I mean, if Modern can do 2D, why not Classic in 3D? It could resemble parts of 3D Blast. Either way, we do get 3D movement, so let's explore it. There won't be much collision outside of our normal planes, so that limits our exploration a bit, and it can be very tricky to interact with objects. One thing I found is that spin dashing in any direction will launch you way out of bounds, always to the same spot. Okay, I know everyone's asking one thing: can you go chill with the parrots? Well, bad news is, it's a no landing zone for hedgehogs. Dang. I don't think it's possible to finish the level in 3D, as this rotary section always put me back in 2D. I mentioned the Speed Highway helicopter and was told that latching onto it again will pull you into the death plane. I'll have to take your word on that, as catching up to it seems to require a precision I don't possess. Though in the process, I landed on this lower road, while the camera was convinced I was on the upper path. Interesting angle. Walking up the road will turn the street invisible, making it look like Sonic is walking on air. On one of my many retries, I realized something. I can hear the helicopter just hovering, waiting for me. Inching up ahead, we can catch a glimpse of it in the reflection. That's not all though. Slowly, we can actually look at it directly. Hey, why so fast? A few comments point out this failsafe below the sideways building run resembles the original game. Though going back to it, it's a loose reference at best. Sure, there's a bell and a tunnel, but they're on the main path after, and not really set up the same in Generations. These bozos can't even get me. There's a much cooler spot later on. I showed off this roadway before, where the cars spawn in. And even in the footage, you can see a big window on the building. I didn't think anything of it. Turns out, you can boost into it and find a secret room. This is so cool. Let's get rid of this glass. Here, we have a much better view of the cars appearing over the pit before reaching the road. Going to City Escape, I was told the mailboxes spit out letters if you smash them. I found one near Coffee Blaze and yeah, that's pretty cool. There's not many post boxes around, though attacking trash cans will have a similar effect with garbage. The only other mailboxes I could find were at the level's end. I'll add this area to the list of interesting, yet insignificant places. It's neat to see a little square of the neighborhood and all of the houses close up. I don't think I've ever really spent time here. I found another spot earlier in the level. This drop-down has stairs that lead to a wall. Good to have access, I guess. I hadn't tried to explore the Shadow rival battle, but apparently you can glitch Shadow out. I wasn't successful in doing this. Guess it's more common on 360, and I couldn't get it even on PS3. But to kill time while I tried it, I did some Sonic breakdancing. Turning back, you can watch Shadow run the whole track. There's no shortcuts though. The area that Shadow spawns you in can be explored a bit. At the very end of the platform, we get a nice view of Earth down below. Just watch your step, as there's no barrier there. Seaside Hill. In attempting this next one, I found a tiny, invisible ledge Classic can stand on. The camera even turns here, likely due to the cannon launch overhead. Anyway, the bug here is to stay in the upper section of the level. There's one specific wall you can bounce onto, and if you make it to the cannon, it will shoot you forward without loading the level geometry. Strange. All of the collision will remain, just without the visuals. It's so cool to see Sonic running above the tranquil ocean. There's even parts of it below the water. What's up, turtles? This invisible flooring will remain after a death, and will persist until these seaside loops, likely where the next chunk of the level is loaded. Much like in the other modern Sonic level entrances, I tried going back at the start of Seaside Hill. Tried so many times, matter of fact, but I left with nothing to report on. But this comment inspired me to return and try once again. We have a few barriers. First, Sonic does his auto run, and we have no control until the word go. Unfortunately, this is after the ruin platforms drop down. That wouldn't be a problem with a boost or a far jump, but there's also an invisible wall. All attempts to break through failed. Though that doesn't mean there's nothing to look at. It turns out you can boost along this invisible wall, and the hungry fish will hold off on eating you. Until you go far enough out. Here we can see cloud segments that kinda look like icebergs to me. Coming back closer to the center, we can see parts of that island Sonic started on. It's cool to see. Actually, we can look back at certain points in the level to get a less dangerous but more zoomed out look at it. On the other side of the main runway, we have an embankment of sand to look at. And further out is a Bikini Bottom-esque island that's purely visual. That's all cool, but a bit anticlimactic though, right? Well, that is until I tried it on PS3. Instantly, without hesitation, Sonic stopped just on the edge of the ruins. This not only preserves the bridge, but also prevents the invisible wall from activating. It's so cool to be able to turn back. You'll want to jump over these boost pads, cause they'll send you too far forward. The camera even turns to reveal our newfound island. Incredible. You will be locked to the main path, but there is a lot to look at. Sonic, are you okay? This path stretches back a decent ways. Here's the edge of it, with a calming ocean view. Though boosting's more our speed. The big fish won't swim this far back, but there's still a limit to Sonic's range of exploration. From here, we can even visit that small little island. Sort of. We'll return to Seaside in a second, but for now, we'll revisit Perfect Chaos. I'll clarify that Yes, all skills are disabled in boss fights. Maybe I could have said that, but my focus was on Supersonic specifically. It was just a random thought I had. Why don't I try to turn Super to match the original battle? I went in fully expecting it not to work, much like the Crisis City sign or the Seaside Rock, but it was at least worth it to try. It makes sense skills wouldn't work, much like in the challenge acts, which I cover extensively in the review. I never meant it as only Supersonic is disabled, while all other skills remain active. Though just to be technical, I'll bring up the transitive property to state that it's not wrong to say that Super is disabled. If Supersonic is a skill, and all skills are disabled, then Super is disabled. How about that? What I was wrong about was 3D standable water only being here. Funny thing is, I considered Seaside Hill even when bringing this up in the discussion video, but my thoughts went straight to boosting over the water with no place to actually stand without sinking. Most of Seaside Hill has drop-offs far too steep to stand in underwater, but that doesn't help my case much. The very beginning of the level has underwater sand that's just high enough to submerge Sonic. This isn't looking good. First the boost, then the water. Look, when viewing everything through a magnifying glass, it can be hard to see the whole picture, okay? At least I hedged it with, to my knowledge. So, knowledge level up. Anyway, the 3D underwater physics are intact here. Good to know. Though it's still funny to me that your jump is weakened in 3D water, while it's strengthened in 2D water. This one I found online while trying to figure out another glitch, but Silver's shadow can be seen in white space before reaching him. It looks like a butterfly with arms. Once Silver loads in though, his shadow will be gone. Finally, we'll look at Rooftop Run in a glitch that's very similar to the one back in Sky Sanctuary, though this one was a bit more finicky for me, so I didn't stick around long. These springs here are our way out of 2D. Sonic will land down below, and not long after, I slipped through the ground. No worries though, cause an invisible floor caught me. This is a more expansive area where we can play with Classic's 3D movement. A lot of cool visuals to phase through too. Eventually I fell and tried again. I wanted to save this 3D state with a checkpoint like last time, but that put me back in 2D. Respawning kept me in that 2D plane, but with a catch. The camera is all types of messed up. Seeing Classic Sonic walking from behind just feels so cinematic. Reminds me of that Sonic 2 commercial. Things remain wacky into the barrel room until I eventually fall down. So that will finish us out on more Generations oddities. I highly doubt there will be a part 3, as the first video was just oddities I found myself. And this second part is more of a response, along with viewer suggestions. Speaking of viewers, the channel has hit 10,000 subscribers with the release of the other oddities video, so I thank you all for that. And what better way to celebrate than including some of the comments? Feel free to continue suggesting oddities down below. I'll probably check them out, just not in a video. I really do need to move on to my other projects, so be sure to stick around for what's next. Thanks for watching. and the levels are the only places that these skills are used,